Before we begin, I invite you to leave in the comments where you're watching from and the exact time at which you're listening to this narration. We're interested to know in which places and at what times of day or night these documented accounts reach. I'm pulling your credentials. The station chief screamed, his voice filled with a petty bureaucratic rage that echoed in the silent control room. "You're done!" The TV weatherman's only crime was defying his boss and issuing a storm warning based on his military training, a dire warning that directly contradicted the official forecast. But what that ratings-obsessed station chief didn't know was that the warning had just saved an entire town full of people, and that a retired Air Force general, now the director of the National Weather Service, was on his way to find the one man who had dared to tell the truth against a storm of opposition. David Chen was a man who understood the sky. He didn't see it in the poetic way a painter might, as a canvas of shifting colors. He saw it in the way a soldier understands his enemy, with respect, constant vigilance, and a deep, intimate knowledge of its devastating power. At 45, with a calm, reassuring demeanor and eyes that always seemed to be scanning the horizon for unseen threats, he was the lead meteorologist for a small local news station, Channel 7. To his viewers, he was the friendly, trustworthy Weather Dave, the man who told them whether to pack an umbrella or cover their petunias. To his boss, a slick, ratings-hungry station manager named Rick Carlson, he was a necessary but boring part of the news hour, a block of time to be squeezed between more exciting, sensational stories about local crime and political squabbles. But before he was Weather Dave, a man who pointed at colorful graphics on a green screen, he was Major David Chen of the U.S. Air Force, a Special Operations Weather Team SOWT officer. He had spent 15 years in the world's most dangerous and unforgiving places, predicting the weather for elite commando units operating far behind enemy lines. He hadn't used fancy graphics. He had used advanced, classified atmospheric modeling systems, his own deep, rigorous training, and a gut instinct honed by years of life-or-death decisions. His forecasts had determined the fate of entire missions, guiding helicopters through treacherous mountain passes in zero visibility and warning of sudden, violent sandstorms that could swallow a whole battalion. He had learned that the sky tells a story, but you have to know its secret, violent language to read it. He had left the service to be closer to his family, seeking a quieter life, but he never lost the discipline, the skills, or the profound sense of duty. One Monday afternoon, as he prepared for his evening broadcast, David saw something that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. The official National Weather Service forecast for their region, the one every other station was preparing to report, was calling for moderate thunderstorms. It was routine, unalarming, but the data he was seeing on his own, more sophisticated modeling software, a program he paid for himself, a remnant of his military days that he used out of habit, was telling a different, far more terrifying story. He saw the telltale signs of a rare catastrophic weather event, a supercell thunderstorm capable of producing a violent, long-track tornado. All the volatile ingredients were there in the data: extreme atmospheric instability, intense rotating wind shear in the mid-levels, and a specific explosive moisture convergence that the broader official models had completely missed. The storm wasn't just heading for their region. It was a guided missile heading directly for the small, vulnerable, and completely unprepared town of Harmony Creek. He immediately left his weather center and went to his boss's office, his face grim, a printout of the terrifying data in his hand. "Rick, we have a serious problem. The NWS forecast is wrong. There's a major tornado threat for Harmony Creek. We need to issue a tornado warning now. We need to get ahead of it." Rick Carlson barely looked up from his ratings charts, annoyed by the interruption. "A tornado warning? David, are you insane? The official forecast, the one from the government, is thunderstorms. If you go on air with some wild prediction like that, you'll cause a citywide panic for absolutely nothing. We'll be a laughingstock. The answer is no. Stick to the script." David was insistent, placing the data sheet on Rick's desk. "Sir, this isn't a guess. This is what the data is telling me. These are the same atmospheric signatures I saw before the Kandahar event that grounded an entire fleet. People could die if we don't warn them. Rick stood up, his face a mask of cold, dismissive fury. I don't care about your war stories. I care about our ratings and our credibility. Your job is to read the official forecast. That is a direct order from your superior. Do you understand me? David stood there, his two lives, the past and the present, colliding in a silent, agonizing conflict. He could follow the order, keep his job, protect his quiet life, and pray to God that he was wrong. Or he could follow his training, his conscience, and uphold the oath he had taken years ago, not to a TV station, but to the people he served. The choice was clear, but you won't believe this. That evening, during the live 6 p.m. broadcast, David Chen went rogue. He looked directly into camera one, his friendly Weather Dave persona gone, replaced by the calm, commanding, and utterly serious presence of Major David Chen. "Good evening," he began, his voice steady. "The official forecast is calling for thunderstorms. I am telling you now with the utmost certainty that the official forecast is wrong." The newsroom went silent. The producers in the control booth stared, frozen in disbelief. There's a high probability of a violent, long-track tornado forming and tracking directly through the town of Harmony Creek within the next 90 minutes. If you live in or near Harmony Creek, you need to take shelter immediately. Go to your basements or an interior room now. This is not a drill. In the control room, Rick Carlson exploded in a fit of apoplectic rage. He started screaming into the producer's headset. "Cut him off! Cut his mic! Go to commercial!" But before they could, David had finished. The station immediately cut to a commercial for a used car dealership, the jarringly cheerful music an absurd contrast to the dire warning that had just been issued. When David walked off the set, Rick was waiting for him, his face a grotesque mask of fury. "You're done," he screamed, his spittle flying in front of the entire newsroom. "I'm pulling your credentials. You're fired for causing a public panic and gross insubordination. Get out of my station, now!" David didn't say a word. He simply took off his microphone, placed it on the desk, and walked out. He hadn't seen the biggest surprise yet. As he drove home, his heart heavy with the certainty that he had just thrown his career away, his phone began to light up with emergency alerts. The tornado had touched down. It was a monster, a confirmed EF4, and it was tearing a path of utter destruction directly through Harmony Creek. But because of his warning, a warning that had gone out 20 minutes before the official NWS alert, the town's tornado sirens had been activated early. People had taken shelter. The local high school, which was hosting a packed basketball game, had been evacuated to its underground storm shelter just minutes before the tornado ripped the roof off the gymnasium like it was a tin can. He had been fired, but he had been right. He had saved hundreds of lives. The next morning, the national news was hailing the miracle of Harmony Creek, a town that had suffered immense, heartbreaking property damage, but miraculously had 0 fatalities. They all credited the miraculous outcome to the early warning from a lone, brave TV weatherman. Back at the now infamous Channel 7, Rick Carlson was in his office, frantically trying to spin the story, preparing to take credit for the courageous decision of his weather department. That's when his secretary buzzed him, her voice trembling. "Sir, there's a general here to see you." A distinguished, silver-haired man in a full Air Force dress uniform entered the office. "Mr. Carlson," he said, his voice calm but heavy with an authority that Carlson had never encountered before. "I am General Wallace, retired. I'm now the director of the National Weather Service." And it was at this exact moment that everything changed. Carlson's face went white. The general continued, his voice like ice. "I flew in this morning for 2 reasons. First, to see the damage for myself, and second, to meet the man who did our job for us. A man named David Chen. I'm told he used to work here." Carlson began to stammer, to make pathetic excuses, but the general cut him off with a sharp gesture. "I've already seen the tape of last night's broadcast, and the tape of you firing him immediately after. You had a man with 15 years of experience as a Special Operations Weather Team officer, one of the most highly trained and effective meteorologists on the planet, on your staff. He gave you a life-saving piece of intelligence, and you called it a war story. You prioritized your petty ratings and your fragile ego over the lives of hundreds of people. The general leaned forward. You didn't just fire a weatherman, Mr. Carlson. You fired a hero. And in doing so, you have revealed that you and your station possess a staggering degree of incompetence and moral failure. Carlson was destroyed, his career in ruins. The general found David at his home, quietly helping his neighbors clear fallen trees from their yards. He didn't offer David his old job back. He offered him a new one, a senior directorship position at the National Weather Service's Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, the very heart of the nation's weather defense system. His new mission, to lead a new special task force, integrating advanced military modeling techniques and the invaluable element of human intuition into the national civilian warning system, to ensure that a mistake, like the one that almost cost Harmony Creek everything, would never, ever happen again. He had been fired for telling the truth, but now he was being hired to make sure the whole country heard it. Kindness and merit are recorded even when they go unnoticed. To continue hearing stories that prove it, don't forget to follow the Merit Ledger and leave a comment about a time when a small act of kindness made a huge difference. Because every life is a record worth reading.